All right, Pslums, how's it going?
What's good, man? Pleasure to be here, man.
Okay, now for the people who don't know, where are you out of?
I'm out of Boston, but I stay in Tampa now. But born and raised in Boston, Roxbury, and Dorchester.
What was it like for you growing up there?
But I grew up with a single mother in the beginning. Um, my mother had me when she was 15 years old. We was in the projects in Roxbury, in Warren Gardens. So it was interesting growing up. You know, growing up with my mother was basically a kid when she had me. So
Okay, so what was it like for you growing up there?
yeah, it was interesting, like I said, man, growing up with my mother being 15 in the projects in Boston, I seen a lot, man, since I was small. Coming out the womb, my mother's still young. She's a young girl, so, she had me out in the field with her. She's getting into fights, with women, with men. She's thugging. She's 15. She's from the project. She got a kid. So, it was interesting. Like, we went through a lot. Like, I remember being like 3, 4, 5 years old, sleeping in the whip with my mother. We homeless. You know what I'm saying? My mother's crying because she got to get me a Happy Meal. We got to lay down in the Chevy in the projects because we done got put out. So, growing up, like I said, was very interesting.
You got put out in the projects. What
Yeah.
what do you mean? You guys got kicked out of the projects?
I mean, at 15 years old, she wasn't holding down no solid jobs at the time. So, we thugging with her, my uncles, which is her brothers, my grandmother, which is my mother's mother. She passed away when I was 6 months old. My mother didn't meet her father till she was like 40 something years old. So she was just a single mother at 15 with me, right? And yeah, pretty much, man. That's what it was. We was bouncing from house to house. Like every year we would have to move because we was getting put out. We was getting notices on the door or whatever the case may be. My mother was just trying to figure a way to make it with having a kid and being only 15, you know?
Were you going to school?
You talking about in the beginning?
Yeah.
I mean, I was a kid, you know? Like,
So this was before school then, is what I'm saying.
yeah, my mother, she finished high school. She was a class valedictorian. So even though we was homeless and we was going through what we was going through in the projects in Boston, my mother was able to finish school, and then as I got older and I moved to Wainwright Park, I was like 12 years old. We finally got some stability. We had got into a house and, she's still fairly young at the time. You know what I'm saying? So she's like 27 years old, but she done got it together by now. She done work for the parole board or Interville. We got a little stability. I stayed around Wainwright Park for like 7 years, 8 years. So that was the most stable we ever been in my life. But for the first 12 years, it was hectic. You know what I'm saying? I'm out in the streets with my mother. My mother was doing wild stuff, man. She was thugging in the street, like robbing dudes. Like we be in a hotel or something and we'd have to bounce because she done robbed these niggas that done passed out because they was drunk or whatever the case may be, took their shit. She got me, I'm 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, and we shaking around. We shaking around the city because she was a hustler, she was young. She was doing whatever she could to take care of me. And like I said, we was in a sleeping in the car at some point. But then it got to the point where, my mother had dropped me off with my father at his house. And she just thugged it out homeless by herself until she got her stuff together for like 6 to 8 months. She left me with my father and then she came back and got me. You know what I'm saying? I think she was like 19 years old at that point.
How old were you when you jumped off the porch?
Well, that's why I tell people all the time, like, there is no jumping off the porch. I was born off the porch. My mother had me at 15 in the projects in Boston. It was hectic. But as far as when I started getting my hands dirty and started doing stuff, it was about 12, no, I want to say like 13, 14 years old. Had my first pound of weed, had a little hammer, a little gun or whatever. I was just doing what I was doing because I ain't really have no parents to like tell me what to do. My mother's a young girl. My father, he wasn't the man that a kid would need. So I had to go to the streets, but I was born in the streets. Like I was born in the projects with my mother. And she was 15, 2 weeks away from being 16. So, I mean, feels like I was always off the porch. I'm out there thugging with my uncles. My uncles getting stabbed. They beefing with Copeland dudes at the time. They from Warren Gardens. I'm watching my uncle. I'm like 5, 6 years old. I'm watching my uncle get stabbed. I'm watching them beat people up. I'm watching my mother fight. Different things. So I was born off the porch.
You said you seen your uncle get stabbed? How old were you when this happened?
I want to say like 7 years old. It was crazy because he had got stabbed not too far from where we were staying in Warren Gardens in the projects, and he rode his bike back to the hood to the projects about 2 miles, 1.5 miles, and then I remember being 7 years old, 8 years old, whatever. I can't get the ages exactly on point, but that was in like the Boston Herald. You know what I'm saying? It was in front page of the news. You see my uncle on his bike with a stab wound and then the ambulance coming and getting him. So to see something like that at 7 was crazy, but I was already used to it by then because, like I said, my mother had me when she was real young, so in a rough part of the city.
Now, I see at some point you did 4.5 years in jail?
Yeah, that was later, like after I moved to the park or whatever, and I started learning different things. Then I moved out. I had came out of jail. Me and my boys had stole a car or whatever, and I got like 90 days. I was 18 years old. Got out after that. My mother had came to visit me before they moved to Florida. They're like, yo, we're moving. You want to come down here with us? I'm like, nah. At that time, I'm 18. I'm already been thugging my whole life. So I'm like, nah, I'm going to just stay here and thug it out with niggas in my hood. I'm going to do what I got to do. Y'all go do what y'all do. So I went and stayed with my father for like 3 months. So I'm out in Taunton or whatever. And I started learning things. I started getting money out there. But I'm going back and forth from the trenches to the suburbs, and I'm getting money at the time. And, I'm 2, 3 years in. I'm like 21 years old. Me and my girl get into it over me getting my hair braided because she didn't know how to braid or whatever the case may be. So I snatched up my guns and all my work, and I get in the car and I go back to the city. Now I'm in the city for like 3 or 4 days, and just like it. Like I'm young, I'm getting money. I'm just like I had enough. I'm in the city, so eventually we get pulled over on Blue Hill Ave in Castlegate. And I got 2 burners on me. I got a scale. I got weed. I got cocaine in the car. I don't got a license. The car's in my baby mother's name. My boy who was driving, his license was suspended. So that gave him a probable cause to search the car. So boom, I end up I get 4.5 years, I want to make sure I get the whole story correct. So I'm with my man Bundy, Anthony Parrish. He had just came home. He had sat for a murder charge at 17 to 19 for a murder he didn't do, and then he ultimately got found not guilty. He was in the car with me that day when I got bagged with the guns and all the drugs and shit. And they offered him 12 years because of his record, because they felt like he beat a murder. So me and my boy, it was 3 of us in the car. We took 4.5 years so he wouldn't get nothing because he still had 3 years over his head. He was out. He just served 2 years for a murder. He was on bail for another gun charge plus this charge. They was offering him 12 years. So we had to take the case, and we both got 4.5 years. So I end up I get 2 years mandatory in South Bay. You know what I'm saying? Which is like gladiator school. You in there with every gang in Boston, every hood, every block. You got every projects, every side street. You know what I'm saying? Mission Hill, Heat Street, Academy Homes, Greenwood. It don't matter. The jail's right there in the city. You know what I'm saying? It's like worse than state prison because you got dudes coming in with like 60 days, 120 days. Meanwhile, you're doing 2 years mandatory with a 2.5 year suspended sentence to serve after. So that's what I end up getting the 4.5 years for. Then I get out, I do my 2 years, I end up getting some good time because people was telling me like, yo, bro, you're on a mandatory sentence. You ain't gonna earn no good time. But I know I had an on and after suspended sentence. So plus I had another 6 months on that sentence. So I did earn 6 months off my sentence. I got released 6 months early. After I served the 24 months, I came home. Now I got the 2.5 over my head. I'm back in the streets like nothing changed. toting guns, selling coke, whatever. I'm back OT, coming back and forth from the suburbs to the trenches, and I get bagged again out in the suburbs this time. So I violated that 2.5 that I owed. I had to go do that time plus the 18 months for the new charge. So that's how I got to 4.5 years, you know. I did 6 years altogether in Boston, but that's how I got the 4.5 year sentence for the guns and the drugs. You know, on my last bid, not the 2 years, like I said, after I did the time for the guns and the drugs, I came home right back in the hood, you know. Everybody's looking at you, oh, you're swollen, you got your muscles, you've been working out, yeah, you're the big dog, whatever they want. You know, they're going to gas you up when you come home from jail. So I'm right back in the swing of things. I'm selling drugs again. I'm still dibbling it. I'm selling cocaine. I'm still toting pistols. I'm still on my gang member shit, like my sliding shit. Like I'm on my Wainwright Park shit. So I end up catching another case. And while I'm locked up for that, my co-defendant on the guns and the drugs, he gets murdered, and I'm in my cell. I got like 10 months left on the last bid I did, and I'm coming home. I know I don't got no probation, nothing. I don't have to report to nobody. I'm just wrapping up clean. I'm straight. So you know, my co-defendant gets killed. The COs come to my cell and they pull me out my cell. They take me off the unit. They take me into like a room like sort of like this, and they're like, yo, we're gonna let you know right now, like your co-defendant got killed, Anthony Parrish. This is who killed him. They pulled it up on the computer, showed me who killed my man. And they're like, you don't have no probation or nothing, but we're letting you know right now that we know this is your co-defendant. He just got murdered. We're gonna be watching you when you leave here. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, really? You be watching me, huh? And then mind you, the dude that killed my co-defendant, he gets locked up before I ever get released. So my man's dead, and the dude who killed my man is in jail doing a life sentence. He got life, ultimately. He got a life sentence. So me, I'm not feeling like there's nothing to ride for. Who am I ride on? The dude who killed my man's in jail. I'm gonna just go shooting at anybody from their hood. I wasn't really with that. Plus I had a kid I had to get myself together for. So long story short, after that happens, when I get out, when they told me they was gonna be watching me when I got out, and I knew that I had the resume to go to state prison for 10, 15 years or whatever the case may be, you get caught with one more gun case or any work, you're gonna get way more than 4.5 years in the county. You're going up the way or to the feds. I was like, okay. They's like, yo, we're gonna be watching you. I'm like, you ain't gonna be watching me. Cause in my mind, I'm like, I got my mother and my sisters and my little brother. They in Florida. They had already went years ago. I just didn't want to go. I wanted to thug it out. But that was the wake-up call that sent me to Florida to get myself together and start pursuing music. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Okay, and what was high school like for you?
High school was cool up until like 10th grade. You know what I'm saying? But I was already like 2-3 years in. Like when I was in the middle school, like 8th grade in the Lewenberg or whatever, I was already getting into stuff. I was seeing people get stabbed. Shit was happening. People was getting beat up. All kinds of shit's going. But I had already seen all that in the projects. But, you know, now I'm going to school. I'm carrying knives and guns. I get kicked out of school. End up going to the Barron Center, you know, but it was straight. Like I said, for the first 2 years, I was in Hyde Park High. I was in Charlestown High. And after the 10th grade, it's like, you know, we was thugging too much. Like school wasn't a good idea at that time. You know what I mean? I didn't get my GED until I went to jail for that 4.5 years, because after the 10th grade, it was just getting crazy. I was just getting suspended. I was getting kicked out of public schools. I was getting put in like schools with all the baddest kids in the city. So, you know, up until 10th grade, it was cool, you know?
Okay, now, and what do you do when you stop going to school?
Oh, we start hanging around the hood. We're in the hood now. We're skipping school. We're calling chicks up. We're trying to get them to come through so we could smoke. You know, we're doing bullshit. Like, we're just trying to get fly. We're trying to get females to the spot. we not, because I had a bunch of dudes that I grew up with, like we all was skipping school. We all was doing bad in school. We was just like so caught up in the streets that we weren't worried about school at that point. We didn't even realize probably what we was doing at the time. But we wasn't going to school. And it was like, he ain't going to school, he ain't going to school. Shit, I ain't going to school. Let's hang out, smoke weed, get bitches. That's what we gonna do. And that's what we did. And we did that for a long time. Like I wanna say like 2.5 years. We would go to school, but we would miss too many days to pass to pass. You had too many absences, you know? So yeah, that's what we was doing.
At what point do you start rapping?
I was rapping. I always was like rapping a little bit because a lot of dudes in my hood, they've been rapping. There's a lot of rappers from my hood. I think we probably got the most rappers in Boston from my hood. Then, you know, I wasn't really taking it serious because I'm like, I'm really living like that. I don't care about rap. These dudes are rappers. They're rapping my life. You know, that ignorant young mindset. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care about rap, but I was just going in there spitting 16s or whatever, just to show the dudes who thought rapping was something that they wasn't nothing. Like, I don't even take it serious and I'm better than you. So, you know, I didn't really take rap serious till I moved to St. Pete, Florida, you know. I would hit the studio. I never did a video before. I never did nothing with rap. It was just in the jail, rapping, battling dudes, rapping on the block, whatever, going to the studio, but not putting it out, not taking it serious, you know?
And what changed when you moved to Florida?
Oh, man, like they say, man, you change your people, places, and things. I got away from a lot of stuff that I was into because I was moving like 100 miles an hour. You know, I had to get out the way because had I didn't, I'd still be in jail right now. You know what I'm saying? And my mother convinced me to come down here. You know, my mother's like a big sister to me. So I knew it wasn't going to really work because it never worked in the past. That was the reason why I stayed in Boston and thugged it out with the hood. But I decided to give it a chance. And sure enough, it didn't work. It worked for like 3 months. Then she put me out. And it was like, damn, what you gonna do? You gonna fold and go back to the city? Or you gonna stay out here 10 toes down and get it together? And that's what I did. So at that point, I wasn't even rapping for like 2 years because I had to have a place to stay. I didn't have time to rap. I had to get my life together. But once I got I got myself together a little bit, and then I reached out to this rapper named Scrooter from Certified Hoods, St. Pete, and I asked him for a feature. He was the hottest dude in the streets at the time in St. Pete. So I get him on the track. You know what I mean? I don't know this dude. He didn't even charge me nothing really. Like I gave him like $150 or something. He just respected my vibe. He knew I let him know I was fresh out of jail. I'm from Boston and I was paying attention to what he had going on. So he did the song and the video with me. And after that, that's when it was like, oh, we got to do this. This is what we got to be. This is what we're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? And that's how I got into rapping. And then I just started networking. You know, I've been rapping now, I want to say, almost 12 years. So over that time, I had been around a lot of up and coming rappers from Florida that take their careers serious, that was really doing things in the rap game. So I'm learning the game. It's not like rapping with your homeboys back home on the block where nobody cares. It's like, yo, these dudes take their careers serious. So you gotta do the same thing. I just stopped picking up little things. When things started to change and stuff is when I linked up with Forgiato Blow. And Thomas Jones, the NFL running back, he was signed to him at the time. So when I linked up with him, it was different. The rap became different because he didn't have to work. He didn't have to hustle. He was moving like a real rapper. He's in the studio 6 days a week. You know what I'm saying? He signed to Thomas Jones, who just started the IME record label. You know what I'm saying? Independently major or the EM, whatever. And so I started learning, even though he wasn't a major artist, he was moving like a major artist because, You know, his family's rich. They come from millions of dollars. So he ain't got to do nothing but be a rapper. You know what I'm saying? He's driving Chargers. He's going to big boy studios. He got fly women in his videos. He's got songs with French Montana, Little Durk. This was like when Little Durk just was still with the Coke Boys. So I'm like, okay, I see where this is going, because I was able to learn how a real rapper moves being around Blow, because he was taking me to Club Underground in Atlanta. We performing with like Trinidad James when he had the all gold everything. That shit was hot at the moment. We in 2 Chainz studio in Atlanta. We out in Gainesville. We moving, we shaking and moving. So, and he's working with real artists. Like Little Durk wasn't even Little Durk yet, but he had a situation because he was already with Montana and the Coke Boys. So, like I said, like Blow kind of opened the game up to me like 10 years ago. I want to say like 2014, he opened up the game. And yeah, that's how I started rapping.
I also seen that you worked with Leak Moss also.
Yeah, that's a fact. You know, that was 2019. I have that was actually a couple of months before his brother AR Ab had got 45 years for that RICO case. I was supposed to do something with Ab, and he got caught up by the feds. So I reached out to Leak Moss and said, yo, what's good, bro? I want to work with you, whatever. He's still going to court at the time for his brother AR Ab. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? I sent him the track over. You know what I mean? He told me what it was, got him on the track. Boom. So I went out there. I went out to North Philly on Erie Ave, I want to say, at their house. And with Gil Videos, and we shot the video out there. You know what I'm saying? And he showed me nothing but love. Leak Moss, you know, he's a real one. Like, you know, yeah, Pretty Flock from OBH, he pulled up. It was a couple other OBH dudes, but like he brought me in his house. It was all love. You know what I'm saying? I gave him a bottle of 1738, like a 750 joint. And it just was all love, man. And we made a movie with that. It's called Official Dogs. But yeah. So the reason why I did the video and I went to Philly and worked with Leak Moss was because I had already was supposed to work with Ab, but I never made the move on it. And then when the feds hit them, I was like, let me hit up Leak Moss before something, God forbid, something could happen with Moss. I didn't know the situation with OBH at the time, but I knew that we was going into like, you know, nobody really wants to go to North Philly and work with OBH, especially all the shit you see on the internet. And like a lot of dudes wouldn't even have went out there if Leak would have did it for free, you know? But he didn't charge me nothing crazy. So I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. And I pulled up, just 2 of my dudes, you know, my cousin Chuck and my boy D. We pull up and we make it happen. You know, it was a good situation. So I tied in with OBH on that move.
Now, I also seen you worked with Havoc.
Oh, yeah. I got a song with Havoc, a music video. It's called Round Tables. You know, that came about because, like, I've been cool with Big Noyd from Infamous Mob for, like, 11 years now. That's my dude. Like, I'm always with Big Noyd. If I'm not by myself, I'm with Big Noyd. We always chopping it up. But, yeah, I worked with Havoc. I also work with, it's me, Big Noyd, and Havoc on that Roundtables, by the way. There's a video out. I work with Big Twin, me, Big Noyd, and Big Twin. We got a song, it ain't out yet, but it'll be out soon in like a month or 2. And I also did a couple other videos, one called We Don't Fuck Around with Big Noyd, and it was produced by Rick Rude. If people that don't know who Rick Rude is, he's the one that produced You Could Never Feel My Pain for Prodigy. He made that beat. And he also made a lot of beats for like Jadakiss and Nori. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it was dope to be able to get that beat from Rick Rude and do that video. Actually, yeah, my dude Vent Music Group, he came out to Fort Lauderdale, I believe it was, to shoot the We Don't Fuck Around music video. Produced by Rick Rude, featuring me and Big Noise. So yeah. I mean, I've been tied in with Mobb Deep for basically me and Big Nori, he opened up the relationships with me and Havoc, Twin, Rude, but I've been cool with Nori for 11 years. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so I seen that you went to Scotland.
Yeah, that was crazy. I went over to Scotland. I had linked up with some artists out there called Lotus Music. And they was liking what I was doing. They see me move. They see me connected with the mob. They see me rocking with OBH. They see me fucking with all the artists out of Florida. So they reached out to me to come out there for 4 weeks and perform for the judges for a world tour. The judges from London. We had to perform for them to go on tour. But so I went to Scotland and I performed in the trenches in Edinburgh, which like everybody who pulled up to the show, they told me like, yo, you're the first American artist to ever come here and perform in Edinburgh. Like, yeah, everybody, mad artists go to the United Kingdom, they go to London, they go wherever they go, but no American artist has ever performed in the trenches of Edinburgh. So that was dope. Then I catch the bus from Edinburgh over to Glasgow to go perform for BBC4, which is BBC London, with 1.4 million listeners live on air in the United Kingdom. And that, that was a dope experience. So I'm out there, things ain't really going the way I want them to go. So I'm there for like 14, 15 days. And then, the people that I went out there with, I wasn't seeing eye to eye with them. So what had happened was I left early. I left like 12 days early. I didn't get to perform for the judges from London to go on the world tour, to go to like Switzerland, Germany, France, and all of that. I left because it was an uncomfortable situation, and I just was like, I didn't want to end up getting locked up in Scotland because I don't know what that could entail. Like, you get locked up in Scotland, now you can't leave the country for 2 years. You got to finish your probation. I didn't know, and so I was like, you know what? Before that happens, I'm going to get up out of here because I got more going on back in the United States. I don't need to be out here in a situation that I'm not comfortable with. So, like I said, I performed in Edinburgh. I performed live on air, 1.4 million listeners on BBC4 London, which is actually the biggest BBC4 you could, the British Broadcasting Channel, it's the biggest one you could perform for. Because they have a BBC, like 1, 2, 3. You got the Scotland one, you got the Glasgow one, but the London one, it trumps it all. Like, that's going to the whole United Kingdom. So that was dope. And it was the 75th anniversary of the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. So I had to go up to the City Hall on the Hill, register to perform. You know what I'm saying? It was a dope experience, eating different stuff. It definitely was a good experience. I flew out of Orlando to Toronto, which was like 3.5 hours. And then I got on that flight from Toronto and went over to Scotland. That was like a 10.5-hour flight. So that was kind of crazy going across the pond and being on a flight that long. So, it was a good experience.
Now, I also seen that you worked with Man Terror and Twice Though.
Yeah, Man Terror and Twice Thou. I got a video out right now, shot by Gil Videos. That those are two legends from Boston. And shout out Man Terror and Twice Thou. Man Terror, he's with the Wise Guys, and Twice Thou's 1/4 of the Made Men, Ray Benzino's crew. Cool Jesus. You got Benzino, and you got Twice Thou, which he was going by Antonio Saldi. So the fact that they reached out to me, and I'm like, they're like, yo, they would support me when I was in the United Kingdom. They was looking at my movement. They said they reached out to me. They worked with me. I'm like, it's an honor to work with y'all. And they're like, well, nah, young blood, it's an honor to work with you. I mean, your videos are fire. Everything you do is official. We love to work with you. So, and I watched them as a kid build that Made Men, that RSO movement. So for them to work with me, that was dope. Like Twice Thou, Antonio Saldi, he had one of the biggest clothing lines in the game back in the day. I'm a kid watching this, like the Stop Snitching movement. He had he made all the clothing for 50 Cent, Mini Men video, which is over 400 million views. He made he made the vest on the pit bulls, and the vest that 50 got on it says Antonio Saldi. So I thought it was dope to be able to work with two legends from my city. Ain't too many people that's even in the city could say that, because they don't just work with anybody. You're like, you know what I mean? They ain't gonna just put that stamp on just anybody coming out of Boston. You know what I'm saying? Twice Style got videos with Faith Evans. Mantera got songs with Nas, Havoc. The list goes on. Like, they in the game for real. Master P, like, The Locks, you know what I'm saying? Jadakiss, Styles P, Sheek Louch. Like, these dudes done been on BET accepting gold records, whatever not Grammys, but I seen them with TLC getting their awards. So it's like, yeah, for them to work with me, that was dope.
Who all have you worked with in Florida?
Oh man, I worked with a lot of artists in Florida. Like I said, Scrooder from Certified Hood, Chris Stahl from Hush Boy. We got a song called Bounce. Forgiato Blow, when I was down with the YMS movement. Javon Black, he's from Key Zone. I got a song with him for the females, a radio type joint. Slugger from Betty Lane. I got multiple videos with him on World Star, on my mixtapes, you know. I've been grinding down here. I know there's other people that I'm not saying. My dude, Freddie Rule, I did something with him. I'm just trying to think of the people who really, like, their careers have, Project Youngin. I just did a video with Project Youngin called Trap Boy. You know what I'm saying? He signed to Motown. He's doing his thing, you know what I'm saying? You could just go look him up. You're going to see what he got going on. I know he got a big record with NBA Youngboy that's doing his numbers. But yeah.
Now, I seen you were locked up in Florida. You got some cases out there?
Definitely, but it wasn't nothing crazy. It wasn't like Boston where I did the 6 years. It was just like a little 30 days or whatever. I ended up getting on probation twice, 18 months. I completed them because I'm out the hood now. I'm in Florida. I'm still trying to get it together, but I'm still making some of the mistakes that I was making in Boston, but they're not costing me as much because, like, I'm not toting pistols. I'm not selling cocaine at this time. I'm really trying to transition from a street to a rapper. So those were just wake-up calls to say, you know what? You got to get back on track because you got something in front of you with this music that you could be doing or you could be down here in Florida doing the same shit in Boston and end up doing a bit down here. So like I said, it was like 35 days in Pinellas County, 14 days in Hillsborough County, you know, shit like that.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, I seen that you ran into Jadakiss a few times.
Oh yeah, Jadakiss shows me a lot of love every time I see. Matter of fact, I seen Jadakiss 2 days after Versus, after they battled Dipset. I ran into him at the Hard Rock Cafe in Tampa. I was with Big Noy from Infamous Mob, and he was with his entourage. He was with like heavy lyrics and Chris Streets. They from Tampa. They rock heavy with Kiss. I seen them. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. They walking through the casino like 8 deep, and I'm like, yo, Kiss, what's good? Mobb Deep's in the building. What's got? Pull him over. You could go check the video on YouTube. There's a video of this because we was just on live at the time. I pull Kiss over. I'm like, yo, what's good? We got Noid in the building. So they start chopping it up. And yeah, after that moment, he remembered me. And then every time he seen me, or like Styles P or Sheek Louch seen me, I was with Big Noid. You know, I was just with Big Noid last week with Benny the Butcher and Griselda. So like, as I'm running down on these artists, they see me. He's like, I'm with Mobb Deep. You know what I mean? We out in Fort Lauderdale, like I said, shooting that video for me and Noid. And you got Terminology in the building. You got Cool G Rap was supposed to be there, but he didn't come for some reason. But yeah, Styles P, Havoc. You know, I'm showing up with Noid. We going to sound check. You know what I'm saying? We kicking it, smoking blunts with Styles. We just chilling. You know what I mean? But yeah. And then I seen Jadakiss actually like 3 weeks ago. He was in Tampa. He had a showcasing for whatever he had going on. And I wasn't even paying attention. And Kiss just came right up to me and like put his hand out and dapped me up. And I'm like, okay, Kiss remembers who you are. And then him and Noyd, they started doing what they was doing. But yeah, Kiss, I seen Kiss like 4 or 5 times since Versus, and every time he sees me, after that time I pulled him over in the casino, he shows me love. You know what I'm saying? Plus he got an artist that signed from my town, Millie's, signed to his imprint. So he knows what it is.
Millie's is definitely doing good right now, man. He's been killing it.
Oh, Millie's been killing it though. That's what's crazy. And he been tied in with Jada for more than 10 years before they started shining. But Millie's been on the scene the whole time I was in jail. He was putting work in. And that's what I think is like Millie's, because if it wasn't for Millie's staying focused and staying like, you know, he was getting into his little shit, but he was always focusing on going to the next level. But anybody from the town that's hating on Millie's, man, it's just a hater. You're going to have to deal with that, because lyrically, I don't think too many dudes in the industry can keep up with Millie's. That's number one. And number two is like, how you going to hate on him? He's putting the city on the map. We don't even come from a musical place. Like, we're not Florida. We're not New York. We're not Atlanta, we're not Houston or Texas. Boston is not that big when it comes to music. So if you got him putting off a mask, him and Jonah Lucas and dudes like that, you gotta show love, or you just a hater. That's how I feel anyway.
Now, doing all this throughout the years, being an independent artist, being on your grind, how much do you think you've spent total?
Ooh, that's a crazy question, but to be honest, I say like 250,000, but I think I'm shortchanging myself because I take my career serious. Like, people might not take it serious or what, I don't know. I can't say that because I got a lot of people that support me that I don't know from a can of paint, but like, I know what it takes for an artist to pop off. And, you know, the thing is, I did everything myself. I got over 30 music videos. I'm on WorldStar. I'm on My Mixtapes. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Apple Music, you name it. I did it all myself. You know what I'm saying? Going to Scotland, going to Philly, going to Boston. I just went to Boston last year 3 times in the summertime, 3 different times, and did 4 different videos. Man, there's a lot of dudes, man. Like, you gotta get outfits, bottles, chicks, foreigns, flights, hotels. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really out here. I'm really shaking and baking. I'm really going to New York. I'm really going to Philly. I'm really going in and out of my city making moves in Boston, in Florida. I'm really tied in with the DJs. I'm really like, you know what I'm saying? We out in Orlando at Club Beach. I'm like, we really moving around like real artists. But the one thing I didn't do with the music was like, I ain't pay the DJs, which that could have been a mistake in my career. I ain't gonna lie, but you're supposed to be with the coalition DJs or go get you a bigger ranking or go, you know, I never was with that because you're supposed to be a DJ. You should be breaking records. But one thing I know is that these DJs, if you ain't paying them, they don't care how hot you are, because at the end of the day, you're an artist. A DJ could jump from artist to artist. All right, you didn't pop, I'm gonna go over here. They're gonna only come based off your situation and what you paying. It's not like back in the day where they gonna really break a record. They don't do that. Most of them's DJing off a laptop anyway. You know what I'm saying? So that could have been a mistake, because that goes a long way. Or doing stuff like this, Capone. You got to do that as an artist because of the promotion. You know, the music and the videos, that's cool. I got some of the most glass house videos you could have between Vent Music and Guild Videos and 1212 Productions. I got some of the best videos in the game, even better than your favorite artists. Like, I'm working with some real deal cameramen. But at the end of the day, what does it mean to put a situation together and you ain't even putting 5% of that into the marketing and the promotion? Where's it gonna go? People think you just go on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and you're gonna pop off. And it's like, that's really not how it works. Because I was able to do shows with like YF and Lucci, Bankroll Fresh before he passed away. I was able to do shows with them. And I'm like, okay, Lucci, when he first came out, I remember him like white tee. He ain't got money like that, but he had TIG with him. Think It's a Game. The same people who had just blown up Rich Homie Quan. So he had the right people. He had the coalition DJs. Plus his music was fire. But fire music's not gonna get you in the game. Like, you got to have people in your corner that know what they're doing and know how to break an artist.
I also seen that you beat a case against an off-duty cop.
Oh, yeah, that was like, after I did that 2 years in Boston, I came home and I'm on my way from the suburbs to the city. And, you know, my baby mother at the time, like, she's still my baby mother, but I was with her at that time. And she drives fast. We end up hitting the off-duty police's car from behind. And he gets out the car and he's like, yo, what's wrong with you people? He's wilding. He got a big piece of the bumper in his hand. Mind you, my baby's mother is only like 4'11" and a half. She's small, 115 pounds. I just did 2 years. I see my son in the back seat. He's crying. I get out the car like, yo, what's good? Yo, get out my baby mother's face. What you got going on? I don't know he's a police officer. He never told us he was a police officer. I didn't know that until I was going to jail. Like, and I'm getting charged with assault by means, and like they saying that I went too far, but it's like I just see a man standing over my little baby mother. My son's in the back seat crying. He's only 2 years old, 26 months old. He ain't that big. He's crying because we just crashed. He's in shock, and so, you know, we get into it. I had to like get him out of her face, and boom, I ended up catching a case behind it. And then what was crazy, it was like when I went to court for it, they were trying to get me to cop out to probation or whatever. They were like, I'm like, nah, I'm not copping out because I didn't know he was the police and I ain't really do nothing anyway. Like, it ain't like I beat the cop up or nothing. I did pull my knife on him though. And that's where they got me with the assault by means. Plus I had just did the bid for the guns and the drugs. So they was going to try to hit me with that to add violence to my record, which would get me more time based off what I just did time for. So I'm like, nah, I'm not copping out to that. I ain't know. I'm going to court. The whole Boston police force is showing up. The chief of police, there's like 20 police officers sitting next to the proceeding. And I had to pay a lawyer at the time because I was in the streets heavy at that time. I was doing what I was doing. And my lawyer went out and found the security guard from the bank next to the car accident. And he was like, yeah, I'll go to court and testify. I seen the whole thing. We have it on camera. So he went there and made sure that Boston police officer had to tell the truth because they had it on camera, and then they had a credible witness, which was the security guard for the bank. So once they knew I had all of that and I had a paid attorney, I would have went up in there 20 years old, 21 years old with a court-appointed lawyer. I didn't have good legal representation. I didn't have stuff on footage. They would have got that put on my record. So they dismissed it the day before trial. And that's how I beat that case. It was crazy though.
Damn.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay, so what all are you working on now?
I got a lot that's going on right now. I'm working with some cats out of Boston. I don't want to throw that out there. You know, I ain't going to say what it is. I'll say the name of the song's called Man Down. We're going to be doing a video for that in like 2 months in Boston. Like I said, I got more tracks with Twin and Big Noy from Mobb Deep. Yeah, I got a lot. I'm always working. I've been working for 12 years. But what I'm really trying to work on is the marketing and promotion.
That's what's up. Okay. Man, okay. So you got a lot going on, man.
Yeah.
Got a lot of music going on. You've been doing a lot. Seems like you've been grinding for years.
Yeah. No, yo, you know what's crazy though? People think that you just blow up overnight. It's not like that. Millie's was grinding for 20 years. Like I said, when I was doing my bids for the guns and drugs, he wasn't blowing up. He was just running around Boston doing little like showcases. He was already cool with Jadakiss for 11 years before they took off. So I feel like, in my opinion, I don't know his whole story because I was in jail. I've been doing me, but I feel like when Kiss murdered Dipset on Versus, that gave them the momentum that they needed for him to push Millies. Because all Jada's sales went up 300% after he killed Dipset. And then that's when Millie's dropped with G Herbo. And after that, it was on. They started picking and rolling. Every time Millie's and Jada would do a song or video, they doing 1.5 million views, 2.5 million. But they was running together for 11 years before that, just like how I've been running with Noyd. Like, it don't just happen overnight. You got to put the work in. You know what I'm saying? People want it to happen overnight. It just don't happen like that. Like, Rick Ross said it took him 13 years before he got popping. French Montana was a cameraman. Like, Tupac had to dance on bikini briefs on a dog with a Humpty Hump. Like, you just don't get on like that. Yeah, you got the Bobby Shmurdas who pop off with like a hot nigga, or 6ix9ine with Gumo, but that's like hitting the rap lottery. Most people that's in their position put the work in. But with the internet, artists are lazy. They don't want to put the work in. Why? When I could just go on Facebook and Instagram. But they not knowing, they've already found a way to control how big you can get through social media. If you don't know the right people to tap in with or the right things to do, you're not going nowhere, no matter how good you are. So, but you know, you got to be in the game to know that.
Yeah, networking is definitely important, for sure.
Marketing and promotion. Networking too. Like, who you know is going to get you through them doors, but like, you can have $1 million and still can't get on because you don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying?
That's why you got to have the right people around you, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, man, you know, when's the next video drop?
I actually just dropped a video 3 weeks ago, but probably, like I said, what's it? We in April, May, June. Probably about June. You know, unless who knows? You never know when me and my people's out here. Like I said, my cameraman, I got a dope cameraman out here, Event Music. We never know. We can cook up at any time. I could get in the booth right now and drop a song. We could do a video on Monday. It's that simple. You know what I'm saying? But it ain't about that for me. Like, I got a lot of work put in. I got over 30 music videos. A lot of artists haven't even been to the United Kingdom. Or dudes who got record deals don't got the features or the videos that I got. So that's not really what it's about. It's really about quality over quantity. We're not doing all that. Let's just make 1 million songs so nobody can hear them no more. I'm not doing that. I got artists that I'm putting out, actually. Shout out Chad Benjamin. You know what I'm saying? My partner I was running around with out in the suburbs. He's from Northside Brockton, was getting money. He's rapping. Sue Baby. You know what I'm saying? I got my brother who's coming home from state prison, my blood brother. We got the same mother. You know what I'm saying? He just did 8.5 years. He gets out in 30 days. You know what I'm saying? He's an artist. Blocker Bam. You know what I'm saying? He's from St. Pete, South St. Pete. He's definitely going to shake up the... You know, I told him, you got what it takes to shake this up, like Kodak Black or whatever, because I don't sound like the people from here. So they're not going to really get fully behind me because I ain't homegrown talent. Like, why would they support me? So I could just claim Boston, even though I feel like St. Pete shows me more love than Boston. But I just understand the politics it takes for artists to really take off. Like, it's more than what people think. Don't matter how good you could rap. There's mad dudes that I'll out-rap them. They not going to battle me. They not going to even challenge me. But, because for what? So they could boost my status? That's not going to happen. They're going to just say, he could rap, but fuck him. That's how I go. You know?
All right. That's what's up, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time.
I appreciate being here, Cam. It was dope, Cam. Capone News, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. Till next time, man. You know what I'm saying? Love the hustle. Love the way you keep going and keep pushing, man.
Yeah.
Got a lot of stuff coming up.
The next time I drop a video or whatever, because I got some big things that I'm working on, but I don't want to talk about them until they're complete. I'll get back on your show, and then boom, we'll talk about them. And then as soon as we finish the show, I'll release them.
Okay. Sounds good, man. For sure. All right, bro.
All right, man. Shout out Cam Capone News, Glass House Studios in Tampa. This is where we make all the music at. You know what I'm saying? One.
What's up? This is Cam Capone. We got more content like this coming soon. So hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in to Cam Capone News.